All right. Tonight we are starting probably the first of a three-part Bible study called Tell the Story. We know that we all live in a world of stories. We understand that our ancestors used to sit around fires and tell stories by the fireside. That's the reason why stories have been passed down from generation to generation by word of mouth. When we got the printing press and film, we understood that stories came that way too, right? That we were able to have stories in book form and in film. We know that big corporations understand the importance of stories. That's why they show us their commercials in story form. And Jesus too knew the importance of stories, or what is referred to in the Bible as parables. We see in Mark 4:33 through 44, it says this: "With many similar parables, Jesus spoke the word to them, as much as they could understand. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. But when he was alone with his own disciples, he explained everything." So Jesus used stories in order to bring home a point. We understand that stories and answering questions about those stories is a great way to learn. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be telling each other stories. So this interactive Bible study actually has 5 parts, but because we don't have a whole lot of time in here, we're actually going to boil it down to 3 different parts that we're going to focus on. The first part is I'm going to tell you a story. Now, most of the time, in fact, I would say 99% of the time, those stories are stories from the Bible. You know, maybe some stories that you learned as a child that you might think you already know, or maybe some stories from the Bible that we don't talk about a whole lot. But 99% of the time, they're going to be stories from the Bible that I tell you. Tonight, we're actually looking at a story that is not based in the Bible, but teaches us about how each one of us might study the Bible. And it examines our Bible study methods. So the first thing I want to do is tell you the story. The second thing we're going to do is at your tables, you're going to try to retell the story together to the best of your ability. So in your group, you're going to say, okay, he told us the story. How did we retell it? What details did he tell? And then the third part of the story is we come back together and we answer questions about the story. Maybe in the next couple weeks, if we see that we have enough time, I might add a 4th and a 5th element to tell the story. So, to begin tonight, let me tell you a story. Okay? All right. A man who lived in a village went to the city for work. When he was in the city, he made a lot of money. He then goes back to the village. Everyone in the village greets him, asking him for favors. He says, "I want to help you, but not like this." So he tells everyone to come back at an appointed time and an appointed place. Everyone gathers back together. He tells them about the path to the river. And he says that he has spent time preparing that path and hiding treasures there. So they all disperse off into different groups. The first group, they go a little ways on the path. They notice new sand. So they scoop up the sand in their hands and they take it back home to study it. The second group run very fast along the path all the way to the river. They say to each other, "We know this path. There's nothing for us here." And they go home empty-handed. The third group moves slower along the path. They notice this new sand under their feet. They notice the thorns that have been cut back. They notice trees have been removed and flowers have been planted. They think this is the treasure. The fourth group moves even slower along the path. They too notice the new sand that is under their feet. They notice the thorns that have been cut back, trees that have been removed, and flowers that have been planted. But they continue to look. And behind bushes, they find bags of rice, bags of beans, and cooking pots. They continue to move slowly along the path. finding more treasure. That is our story. Now get in your groups and see if you can remember the story. Okay? Try to tell the story to each other the best you can. Just over here, does anybody want to volunteer to try to see if they can remember telling the story? No. Don't worry, Brian. You're ready to tell it, and we'll help you. Hey, Brian. We'll help. Don't worry. We'll help you if you forget a part. Okay?
You will.
Yeah. See if you can remember telling the story. You're a good public speaker.
All right. So
Next week we'll do Greg. Okay?
Hey, I remembered it this week. I ain't got
exactly.
Oh, so Greg's saying he wants to go this week.
Yeah. You want it?
I'll take it.
Go take it. All right, here we go.
So there was a man who lived in a village, and he went to the city to work. And in the city, he made a lot of money. So when he returned back to the village, he was met by a lot of the village people who was asking him for favors. And he told them, he says, I want to help you, but not in the way that you're asking. So he says, I'm going to set up a time and a place, and you can meet back, and we'll discuss how I'm going to help you. And so he set up a time, and they all came back at the appointed time, and he told them, he says, I've created a path down to the river, and your help will be along the river, along the path. So the first group went down to the river, and what was it they did?
I went a little way.
So they found some sand, some fresh sand.
Yes.
So they thought, well, we found our surprise. So they brought the sand back to the thing and said, this is what we've got, the fresh sand that was laid down. So the second group came, and they went all the way down to the river real fast. And when they got to the end of the river, they found the river, said, well, we know this path. There's nothing here for us. So they returned. The third group came, and as they went down the path, they walked a lot slower, and they noticed that the trees had been moved and flowers planted, the bushes had been trimmed, the thorn bushes were gone, and so they made it down to the river, and they came back, and they said, well, this is what it is. He's cleaned up this path. This is what we had. The fourth group went down, saw the same things that the third group saw, but they also noticed that they walked even slower, and they looked behind the bushes, and they found rice and beans and pots and pans, and they found a reward, and they took those back.
Man, good job. Let's give Greg a hand. I need to know the harder stories, huh? All right, y'all are doing so good on time. Whoa. Y'all are doing so good on time that we're going to add in another part of the story. So this, our part of tell the story, this part is I'm going to make mistakes in telling the story. When I make a mistake, I need you to yell out, no, no, no. So go ahead and say it. No, no, no. All right, and then correct me with the part of the story. Also, in this one, I'm going to forget things, and so I'm just going to stop talking. That normally happens in the first story, but anyway. So let's go ahead. You're going to say no, 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 and you're going to help me out, all right? There was a man who lived in the city and goes...
No.
Where was the problem?
Village.
Oh, yes, he lived in the village, and he goes to the city for the nightlife, right? What does he go to the city for? To make money, and then he realizes that he's over here eating with pigs, and so he has to go back to his... That's a different story, right? No, that's right. So he comes back to the village after he's made a big deal of big money, and everybody comes to him, and they, what?
Want favors.
Yes, asking him for favors, asking him for money. He tells them, okay, here's my checkbook, and everybody says, no. He says, I want to help you, but not like this. So he tells them to gather back at a certain time and place, and they all come back together. The man is nowhere to be found. He went back. Okay, that's right. Yes, he's there, and he says, I have this path that goes to the ocean. No, goes to the river. That's right. Oh, you're smart. Goes to this river, and along there I have placed treasures for you. So the first group, they go off, and they take off running down all the way to the
There we go.
first group, yes, they only went a little ways. And they look down at the ground, and they find some pebbles, and they details. The second group, they go slower.
Fast.
They run all the way down to the river and they fall in and drown. And that's They go in and they say, oh, we know this path well, there is nothing here for us, and they go home empty-handed. The third group, they move a little slower along the path, and they notice that the sand under their feet, they notice the thorns have been trimmed back, they notice trees have been removed, they notice flowers have been planted, and then they look behind the bushes and they see. They thought that was the treasure, and they went home. The fourth group, they move even slower along the path. And they see the sand under their feet, the thorns have been trimmed back, the trees have been removed, flowers have been planted. Then they look behind the bush, and there they find a lottery ticket. No, they find rice, and they find beans, and they find pots and pans, right? Very good. We're doing all 5 parts of the story tonight. Y'all are quick. All right, so the last part of the story is asking questions to each other. That's how we're going to try to figure out how this story has anything to do with how we study the Bible. By raising your hand, does anybody think they have an idea of what this story has to do with the Bible? Okay, well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. We got some questions that we're going to ask. All right, so we understand the basic parts of the story. We're going to fast forward all the way to him giving them instructions. What instructions does he give the people when he is there and he's saying, here, I'm going to help you? What instructions does he give? He had a way, right? And he says, so what we're going to do is you go down to the river, the path to the river, and you find treasure, right? Who got those instructions? Everybody. So it wasn't just a certain group. Like group number 1 didn't get a different group of instructions than group number 2, right?
No.
How does that have to do with the Bible?
Well, they may have heard something different, but they got the same instructions.
Oh, that's a very good point. They might have heard something different. Sometimes we That's right. How does that hearing something different have to do with Bible study?
People interpret it differently.
Yes. People interpret it different ways. Very good.
But the Bible is the same story to everybody.
That's right. We have the same instructions, right? We have the same instructions. And everybody has those same instructions. Everybody has the same opportunity. Especially where we live today, right? In America today, everybody has the same opportunity with the instructions. As far as getting a hold of the good book, right? Now we know other countries, right? They all don't have that same opportunity. I'm sure you might have found online some videos or watched a video before of foreign countries where the Bible is not legal. And they get those Bibles and they're just so thankful. I think we sometimes take our instruction manual, our treasure, for granted, do we not? Sometimes we overlook it. And we don't take advantage of it as others do. All right. So what did we see and hear about the first group? What did we see and hear about group number 1?
They only did a little bit, not a lot.
Short-sighted.
That's right.
They want to dig.
They didn't want to dig, they didn't want
They dug the sand.
Now they only got a little bit, a handful of sand, and they went home.
The top layer.
What did physically did the second group do? Oh, sorry.
I got it.
Okay. What physically did the second group do?
They rushed.
They rushed. They ran. Third group moved slower, and fourth group moved even slower. Right? How many groups found treasure?
Last one.
The last one. How many groups think they found treasure?
All of them.
3 of them.
3 of them. That
All
one
three
group,
found
there's
sand
nothing
and
different. Yeah.
trim work and flowers.
Second group went right to Revelation.
They went right to Revelation.
I'm glad I took over.
So what can we say about that first group? The one that only goes a little bit, gets a little bit of sand and goes back. How does that relate to people who study the Bible? How does that relate? What could you say about people who are like that with studying the Bible?
They kind of just read it, but don't get it.
Yeah, they get it at face value, right? It's like, okay, let me take this. I read my Bible. Say again?
They just touch the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus' parable of the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where it fell on the rocky ground and so forth.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come up.
and the fruit didn't produce, the plants didn't grow. It's like when we have good intentions and we go to let's say we have Bible reading plans, and we say, I just need to read this. I don't know how many of you have done that before, but I said, I have to check off my Bible reading for today. I go and read it, I don't remember what I just read,
But it's ready.
and then I read it and I check it off and I'm gone. That's not these people, is it not? They did it, they did the task, they've been good Christians for the day, they've been good treasure hunters, and they went home and said, that was something, right? They did something.
Yeah, but that's the point too, they did find something. They found the treasure. Now, it wasn't as deep or as great a treasure as it could have been,
Mhm.
but they still did find something.
Mm-hmm. Even the fish just sank, right? And put it in a bottle. A lot of people have bottles of sand at home.
Well, I think also that you're talking about when you do your Bible study, I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah.
Because when I finish and I make my check, I think,
Mhm.
what did I read?
Yeah.
But it's amazing how at different times and places, something like that'll pop back up in your mind.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you do
Yeah.
get something out of it.
Yeah, that sand actually becomes that.
Right.
Yes. All right. What was group 2 looking for? They were looking for treasure.
They wanted it to be right there in front of them.
They did. They wanted it right there in front of them. And they were looking for the end too, right?
Yeah.
So they ran along the path to the end. And what did they say? Does anyone remember what they say?
Nothing is
Nothing
here
here for us.
Yeah, I've been here before, no big deal.
Yes. I've been here before. There's nothing here for us.
Well,
How
if
many of
they
you?
read
Yeah.
Revelation, they were confused.
They were and they found the end of Revelation. They said, there's nothing here for us. We're going home. Anyway, that's a lot like how we can be with our Bible studies sometimes. We get an account that we've already heard before. Maybe we've heard it a lot. And we say, all right, preacher, wrap it up. I need to go eat dinner. Right? All right, we read this account and we think, all right, I need it to be over with. I need it to be done with. I know this story. There's nothing more here for me to find. But what is the Bible? It is living and active. And it penetrates like a double-edged sword, right? So no matter how many times we have read an account before, we can glean something new from it if we really desire to do so. Okay, so that's group number 2. Group 3, they did a pretty good job, did they not? They did pretty good. They found some stuff, right? How does their approach relate to us and our Bible study methods?
We get some out of it.
We get a little
We
bit,
don't go
no.
into depth with it,
Say it again. We get a little bit, but not a lot.
but we don't go into depth.
We don't really go into too much depth with it. We think this is a beautiful story, right? It's really good and it's meaningful and it impacts us. But what's that difference with that 4th group?
They were willing to sacrifice the time to find everything.
They were willing to sacrifice the time, find everything. Sometimes we need to be more like that, is it not?
They went to Sunday morning and Wednesday night.
That's right, that's right. They went to Sunday school, Sunday morning, Wednesday night. They came to all the revival services.
That's my order down there.
That's right, that's right.
And they were listening.
Yes,
Can I give you my opinion?
yes you may.
You're wanting to compare it with how much people know about the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
right? Kind of. All right, the first group, they are sort of like somebody who went to church, to Sunday school when they were a child. They learned about the Bible, and they thought they knew the Bible.
Yeah.
All right, they didn't really. They never really read. They weren't old enough to. So in the second group, they went on up till they were teenagers, and they had more learned, more about the
Yeah.
Bible, but still they never read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And the third group has read the Bible, but the 4th group has really studied the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, and I'm not sure that's what you're looking for because I can't hear everything.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like somebody who's went through, and that last group, they went to Sunday school, they went to preaching, they went to Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
They knew to look at everything.
Yeah.
That's what I was comparing it to.
That's
I
good.
think they studied at home too.
And they studied at home too, from what Burnett said. But yeah, they knew to look. And I think that's the key thing there too, Linda, what you just said. They knew to look. I think that's important.
Yes.
When we study the Bible, we need to know the look. And to know that
you
it's
can
studied.
always learn more.
That's right. It says to meditate on God's Word day and night, does it not? We need to be studying the Word of God.
And if you don't have a study Bible, get one.
Oh, they're so good, aren't they?
Wonderful.
They are good, because if you get confused, you can have that as a help. All right, y'all. Well, y'all did really good tonight. I didn't think we were going to get through all 5 steps. Let me tell you what all 5 steps are real quick, because we went out of order. Step number 1, usually I tell you the story. Step number 2, somebody is voluntold or volunteers to do the story. Step number 3 is I tell you the story of the mistakes. And step number 4 is, I just miscounted. Anyway, then I ask you questions. There's 4 steps, I think. Anyway, but that's telling the story. So we're going to do this for 2 more Sundays, 2 more Wednesdays. I'm going to get there.
No.
No. Don't be doing that in Sunday morning worship. No, Pastor. You're telling the story wrong. That is not how that one goes. All right. Anyway, so is there any other comments about our Bible study tonight?
One comment, because you made a statement that we do tend to certain stories like at Christmas. And
Yes.
Mike did this at one, I don't even think it was here, I think it was at Cedar Square. But again, when you're talking about the story of Jesus and how Mary and Joseph, you always hear about Mary. And he, that Sunday, talked about Joseph and what Joseph had sacrificed and how Joseph was looked at and the faith that Joseph had to have. And you know, as many times I heard the story, I knew that. But I don't know that I knew that.
Yeah.
Till he presented it, that was the focus of that sermon. I mean, literally people looking at him as if he was, you know, and taking a woman that had been defiled and, you know, I mean, when he really got into the depths of what that culture thought, I thought, man, that was a lot. That was a lot. Because I always talk about Mary, but that was the first time I really heard the story of Joseph in that.
Yeah, that's good. You find the new stuff in there. You can always come back.
Same story.
Yeah.
Same story.
The new insight.
New insight.
Any other comments tonight? Okay, we're going to pray out since Brian got out of it. He thinks we don't remember. He thinks we don't remember he has vacation next week. Don't worry, we got 3 weeks of this. So, be ready when you come back, okay?
I would expect them on Zoom.
I'll be expecting him on Zoom. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to let Brian pray us out. But before that, remember, if you're able to stay and help clean, please help clean. If you plan to help with the biscuit drive-through, please, let's just meet over here in this back area over here for just a quick rundown to make sure we're all on the same page. And then, of course, we have choir practice tonight. All right, Brian, will you pray us out?
Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight to worship together, Lord, to fellowship of a meal, Lord, to study your word and to dig deep. Lord, help us to always want to continue to grow spiritually and grow in the word, to look for new things and new treasures that you have there for us, Lord. Help us to never be content or satisfied, but always looking to grow closer to you and to grow spiritually stronger in the word, Lord. We thank you for each one that's here tonight. We thank you for those in our congregation, Lord. We ask you to be with those that are not with us tonight, wherever they may be. Watch over them and protect them. For those we mentioned in our prayer list, we ask, Lord, that you touch them in a special way. And certainly for the Fowler family and Edmund, Lord, during the next days and weeks and months, we just ask that you comfort them, let them feel your presence, let their hearts grow stronger, Lord, knowing that you are in control. We just thank you and praise your name for the many blessings. We pray these things in your Son, Jesus.